There are many reasons why people make a decision to leave their church. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Omolade Okaiyeto and I focus on faith, travel and reviews. But in today's video, it's going to be more faith related. So yes, the topic today is the right way to leave a church. Right, if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe. Please support a sister. I would really appreciate it. The button is just below. It only takes 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Thank you. Okay, so before I get into the video, I just want to say a disclaimer. This is not a video encouraging you, leave your church, get out, it's a bad place, blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. This video is just to help support any individuals who have already made the decision to leave their place of worship, to leave their church, and they're not sure on the right way to do it. And this video is just to give some tips and advice and support on that. Okay, so just to give a bit of context, I left my church last year during the pandemic, which was a very difficult and hard decision for me to make. But I made that decision last year and I had been going for about 14 years. So I do have a video where I speak about it in more detail, so definitely check it out. But yeah, I made that hard decision and I decided to leave last year. And oh yeah, it's been a journey, guys, especially the aftermath. It's definitely been a journey, but I'm here to share my experience, and I'm here to definitely give some advice on the right way to leave. Right, so let's start with reasons. So there are many reasons why people make a decision to leave their church. It could be maybe they are relocating to another area, maybe they are even relocating to another country. It could be that even they want to start their own church, they want to start their own ministry, or they want to do missionary work around the world. It could be many reasons, even to the extent that they just want a new environment, they want a new scenery. And of course, we cannot forget that people could leave their church because of hurt. Maybe it's a toxic environment. Also, maybe they don't agree with their doctrines anymore. There's so many reasons why people decide to leave their church. Okay, so the first tip that I'm definitely going to say is pray, pray, pray. Prayer is the key. Prayer is the key. Prayer is the master key. Anyway, let me stop singing because I can't sing. But definitely pray. Consult with God about it. You know, make sure that He's the one that you consult with first before anybody. Sometimes we as humans, we can make that mistake and start to consult with other people. Even I make that mistake. But I think the first thing to do is definitely start to pray about it. Consult with God. Speak to Him about it. Have a conversation with Him about it. Now, the next thing that I was going to say is also to take your time. Take your time, yeah? So no rush. It doesn't need to be a rush. Depending on the circumstance and the situation, then I understand why people have to be radical with their decisions. However, if you've got time, definitely take your time with it. There's no rush. Take your time, think about your decision, really process, really understand the reason why you are making that decision to leave, and that will definitely help you. Okay, so next advice is to be selective with who you speak to about it. So some people prefer to just keep it private, just speak to God about it, and that's it. And that's okay. But if you are the kind of person who you do need to speak to somebody about it, be very selective in who you choose to speak to about it. Because if you speak to your friends about it in church, they may just persuade you to stay. They may not understand. They may not get where you're coming from. And maybe they're coming from a good place, a good heart to encourage you to stay and for you not to leave, which, you know, is really understandable. Even I myself, maybe I might just do the same as well. However, just be selective. Sometimes maybe speaking to a friend outside your church might help, because they may not persuade you. They may be very diplomatic about it. They may be understanding, and I guess maybe not be judgmental about your decision. Because sometimes when you speak to somebody outside, it's easier than maybe speaking to those inside, because they just may not fully get it. So just be very selective in who you choose to speak to. Maybe someone that you really trust. I think that's important. Amount of people who you tell, maybe try to keep it as small as possible. The tighter, the closer knit, the better. Okay, so I am an advocate for therapy. Like, for those of you who know, I've done therapy, and depending on the reason why you're leaving, if you can start therapy as early as possible whilst you're making that decision, that is perfect, because it will help you process your emotions, your thoughts, what you're going through. Especially if you've gone through spiritual abuse / church hurt, it's definitely advisable to start therapy as early as possible while you're making that decision. Now, how to actually let your pastor know that you want to leave. Now, I'm a big advocate for communication. I come from a communication background, so people have different ways of how they communicate. Some people prefer to communicate via letter. Some people prefer to communicate face to face. Some people prefer to communicate via text, via voice message, all sorts of communication style. So, of course, the most obvious communication style would be to let them know face to face, to let them know in person, to have a conversation with them and let them know your reasons why you're leaving. However, there are some of my introverted individuals who may not prefer to do it face to face, or depending on the circumstance and the environment, it may not be as easy to do it face to face. So again, in writing, in letter, maybe that might be an easier approach for you to express your reasons for leaving. Of course, some people have done it via phone, via message. Like for me, I couldn't get to my church, so my form of communication was different. It was via message. I'm not, saying that that's the most best way in that instance. However, this is the only way that I could do it. And then I had some conversations later on. Bearing in mind that you may not get the response that you want or the reaction that you want. Some may just be like, amen, go, really happy for you. Some may be in shock. Some might just be like, oh my gosh, why are you leaving? So it may not go according to the way you want it, and that could be in a positive or negative way. So just please bear that in mind. Sometimes we want it to go in a certain way, but it may not go in that certain way. So just remember that it may not go according to the way you want it to go. However, as long as you know the reason why and you are sticking to your decision, then you go ahead in how you feel best to communicate that. Right, so just some other tips that I wanted to mention. It's such a big decision when you decide to leave a church, and it does come with some consequences. And unfortunately, you may lose some friends, especially a lot of your friends are in your church. You may lose some friends, or they may not be as in contact with you, or because you're not in that environment as often, you might just naturally become distant. So it's just taking that into consideration. If you're someone that loves community and you're into community, you may feel a sense of your community loss, if that makes sense. This is why I really think it's important to have friends outside your church, or to make new friends outside your church, because in case you do lose friends in your church, or every single one of your friends are from your church, then it can be quite difficult that when you do leave, that you don't have any friends and you don't have anyone around, and you can feel very lonely and you can feel very isolated. So just bear that in mind, that it's really good to have friends outside your church, or start to begin new friendships, start to make new friendships outside. Also, if you're coming from a legalistic church, a legalistic background, there's always this fear that, oh my gosh, something bad is going to happen to me because I've left the church. I don't have the covering, I don't have the protection. Please do not think like that. Life is life, things can happen to anyone, whether you're in a church or outside a church, things can happen to anyone. But imagine I actually lost battery, so I had to quickly charge my camera battery. Not everybody will understand your journey. Some people might think you're mad, you're crazy, this is out of character, this is not you. But always remember that you are the only one that understands your journey. God understands your journey, and you don't need to justify yourself to anybody but God. That's the only person that you need to justify yourself to. Some people might be like, why? Yeah, and it's up to you if you want to give top level answers or if you want to give detailed answers. That is up to you, but always remember that you do not need to people please, and you don't need to justify yourself to anyone on this earth. Anyway, guys, I will definitely love to know, do you have any experiences where you have made that decision to leave your place of worship, and how did you do it? It would be good to know some stories. Please comment below. I will really appreciate it. On that note, guys, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. Don't forget to like and support a sister. Until next time.